So Donald Trump just strong-armed the one ally he thought he could bully without consequence. And for the first time in his political life, he blinked. But here's the thing. The damage is already done. We are watching the collapse of a tough guy trade gamble that was doomed from the start. The White House assumed Canada would fold once the pressure hit. They bet fear alone would force Ottawa to back down and beg. But guess what? That gamble has backfired in the most spectacular way imaginable. Instead of submission, Trump met a wall of cold competence. And it exposed his operation as chaotic, unprepared, and out of its depth. It's honestly hard to believe he thought this would work. We are talking about a G7 nation, not a disposable pawn in one man's ego trip. This isn't just about tariffs. We are watching the United States prove its word no longer means anything. Let me fill you in on what's been happening. So let's look at the setup here. Trump came back to power restless and vindictive, obsessed with proving that America first still meant domination. He didn't return with patience. He returned with a craving for a public confrontation. Trump didn't have the numbers. Trump didn't have a plan. Trump had grievance and a hunger to swing at someone fast. He needed a villain to rally Trump's base, and he needed one close enough to hit on command. Canada wasn't picked for wrongdoing. Canada was picked for convenience. Whether it was threats to weaponize the northern border, or demands to rewrite the USMCA like it was a personal contract, or the steady drip of public humiliation aimed at Canadian leadership, the routine stayed the same. Threaten, demand, then call it strength. But this time, that assumption was wrong. They knew he would come back, they knew he would be aggressive, and they built a strategy designed to neutralize his chaos with boring, relentless stability. Trump escalated, expecting Ottawa to sprint to the table and plead. Ottawa didn't flinch. It responded with clean, targeted pressure aimed at political and economic pain points, the kind that bypass the president's ego and land directly on Senate offices and donor inboxes. The White House didn't get a dramatic surrender. It got a controlled countermove that made Trump's team stare at each other like they'd misread the entire board. And real people got trapped in the middle because slogans don't pay overtime. Parts don't cross the border on vibes. Shifts get cut, orders get paused, and job security gets shaky when Trump turns a neighbor into a stage prop. At first glance, this looks like just another clash of personalities. But if you zoom out, a very specific pattern snaps into focus. Jeff Sessions walked in with goodwill, loyalty, and a willingness to shield Trump in public. He played his role, took the heat, and acted like a team player when the cameras were hot. Then the boundary arrived, and it was simple. Sessions would not do the one illegal thing Trump wanted, and he would not bend the Justice Department into a personal weapon. Trump didn't accept limits. He went after Sessions publicly, mocked him as weak, isolated him inside his own party, and turned him into a warning label for everyone watching. The message was clear. Loyalty to Trump supersedes loyalty to the law. William Barr stepped in with goodwill, loyalty, and a willingness to protect Trump from accountability. He took reputational damage on purpose because that's what loyalty costs in Trump's orbit. Then the boundary arrived, and it was blunt. Barr would not fabricate fraud, would not seize power, and would not torch the Constitution to save Trump's pride. Trump didn't accept limits. He flipped overnight, attacked Barr as disloyal, treated him like an enemy, and made sure every Trump loyalist learned the same lesson. The message was clear. Loyalty to Trump supersedes loyalty to the law. Mike Pence stepped in with goodwill, loyalty, and a willingness to stand beside Trump through chaos. He defended him when it was unpopular and stayed quiet when it was humiliating, because that was the deal. Then the boundary arrived, and it was the final one. Pence would not violate the Constitution just to keep Trump in power. Trump didn't accept limits. He publicly pressured Pence, humiliated him, and treated obedience to the Constitution as betrayal that deserved punishment. The message was clear. Loyalty to Trump supersedes loyalty to the law. Once you see this pattern, it becomes impossible to unsee. Anyone who refuses to cross the line is disposable, and that is the rule governing power. Canada got treated like an enemy the moment it refused to play along with Trump's theater, not because Canada broke the rules, but because it refused to help Trump break them. That's the moral inversion at the center of this mess, where restraint gets punished and chaos gets rewarded. One side sticks to agreements, procedures, and predictable leverage. The other side calls that weakness, then smashes the rules when the rules stop serving Trump. And the irony is savage. These are the rules America pushed for, the framework America helped build, and now Trump is demanding the world pretend they never mattered. Businesses pause, supply chains hesitate, investors get cautious, voters feel the anxiety creep in, because uncertainty is a tax that hits everyone. Think about that. Even people who don't follow politics feel it when the border becomes a tantrum button, when contracts get rewritten, and when managers quietly start cutting hours. Trump's whole brand is economic strongman. But strongmen don't create needless risk inside their own coalition and then call it strategy. Trump did. The danger wasn't Canada. The danger was Trump turning stability into a hostage situation, demanding applause while everyone else eats the volatility. And here is the no-win box he built for himself. Option A, Trump escalates, doubles down, and pretends pain is patriotism, and the economic damage spreads through donors, business groups, and the very red state industries that keep GOP incumbents alive. Option B, Trump backs off, and the bluff is exposed, and the base smells weakness, and every foreign partner learns that Trump's threats are mostly performance. So the Republican Party fractures under the weight. The business wing wants the bleeding to stop because money hates chaos. MAGA Republicans want a bigger fire because grievance loves chaos. Moderates freeze, terrified of Trump's base and terrified of their own voters. Senators get squeezed from both sides because if they defend Trump, they own the damage, and they resist Trump, they invite a primary. And the whole coalition sits in gridlock because every move looks like political suicide. Then an institution stepped in, and the tone changed. This wasn't just politicians trading insults anymore. When the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and major business groups start moving, it means the economic bloodstream is feeling real pain, and it means the bluff is colliding with reality. This is the moment a policy stunt turns into a constitutional fight. The core allegation was executive overreach, that Trump was trying to wave the word emergency like a magic wand to bypass Congress and bully a treaty partner into submission. He didn't want hearings. He didn't want votes. He wanted a shortcut with a patriotic label slapped on top. Courts usually give presidents room when national security gets invoked because judges don't love stepping into that arena and they don't want to second-guess real threats. But when the rationale looks like a pretext, courts don't have to play along. Let that sink in. And then the conservative warning lights came on. When conservative legal voices and right-leaning institutionalists start saying out loud that Trump is bending power past the guardrails, it breaks the lazy excuse that this is just the other side complaining. It signals that the problem is structural, not partisan, and it puts Trump's defenders in a panic. This is the constitutional axis of the fight, executive power versus legislative authority. If a president can unilaterally treat commerce like a personal joystick, the separation of powers turns into a suggestion instead of a rule, and Congress becomes background noise. And once that happens, every future president is tempted to copy the move. Meanwhile, the domestic fallout spreads, confidence slips, investment decisions stall, employers hedge. Communities that live on cross-border trade feel the chill first. Then everyone else feels it when uncertainty hits prices and jobs. People don't need a legal brief to understand the fear of a paycheck that suddenly feels fragile. Be honest. So here's the legitimacy question that hangs over all of it. If Trump can weaponize emergency claims to punish allies and bypass Congress, what stops the presidency from becoming a permanent loophole? This was never just a trade spat with Canada. It's a stress test of rules versus raw power, and it's happening in real time. It's also a test of whether a presidency can be treated like a personal weapon without consequences. That's the problem. Donald Trump cannot tolerate limits. He hates delay. He hates friction. He hates any process that tells him no or even not yet. He wants control that moves at the speed of impulse, and he treats constraint like humiliation. In Trump's world, slow equals weak, and compromise equals surrender. Here's the danger in plain sight, and it's bigger than Trump. If this behavior is accepted, it becomes precedent. If it becomes precedent, it doesn't disappear when Trump leaves. If it doesn't disappear, the next president will use it again, faster, and with fewer excuses. And if it gets used again, the country's guardrails won't be guardrails anymore. They'll be optional scenery. That's how democratic decay works. The abnormal becomes familiar. The outrageous becomes routine. Institutions get chipped down, not in one dramatic moment, but through repetition and exhaustion until people stop expecting accountability. Then the public argument stops being, is this legal? And turns into, can he get away with it? And then politics becomes about survival, not competence. Voters may love a show for a moment, but they live inside the consequences. They feel it when stability vanishes, when uncertainty becomes a constant background noise, when trust in agreements collapses, and when allies start planning around America instead of with America. And that matters. So we're staring at a civilizational choice, whether America is a serious nation governed by rules or a reality TV state governed by spectacle. The legal fight is only warming up. The economic pressure is only starting to hit daily life. And everything around Trump's power is getting hotter, not calmer, because once you normalize this, you don't just rewind back to normal, you inherit the mess.